Hi everyone, Salesforce Development Day 21. Let's see agenda. So previous session review, we will go through the previous session overview and then we'll talk about the iterative statements. Inside the iterative statement, we have a different type of iterative statement. So today we will discuss about the while statement and we'll have an assignment to while statement, for loop. If time permits, we'll talk about array. And then we'll have a trial headings. What did we learn in last session?
If else statements.
Else if
Which statement?
switch iterative statements.
We have seen the if condition, else if condition, switch, nested if, and then introduction about the iterative statement. The last one which we have discussed is the iterative statement. Now, iterative statements are basically yesterday we have discussed there are four types of statements: while, do while, and we have a for loop and enhanced for loop. Right, so today we are going to discuss the reason why we have a iterative statements is, as I have explained yesterday, instead of writing the code multiple times, right? So if you write a multiple times, then there is a character limit. In Salesforce Apex, we have a 6 million is the character limit. So in order to avoid the repeated code or repeated lines of code, what we will do is, in case if we wanted to execute the same logic multiple times, then we will go for an iterative statement. Now let's see the while statement. Now while statement syntax is, first we will see the syntax and then we will talk about the what is the while statement. Now as it says while, right? Normally, what is the exact generic meaning of the while as a generic? What do you know while means? While is nothing but a specific time, right? So we will say meanwhile, right? That means some time, some leisure time or some time. So whenever we have a time, that means in some time. What is that sometime? Which sometime? How can I know that? So basically, we are going to specify that in the while, we will specify the condition. That means in this time, right, still they meet the condition. What we wanted to do is we wanted to execute the certain logic, certain block of statement. That means I'm going to start the execution of the while statement. Now here we have a condition. So if in this condition, if the condition is true, till that time, go ahead and execute the whatever the statement is there, execute the statement. Once the execution statement is done, again go back to the while condition. That means the logic gets executed. First, it will check the condition and it will go and execute the block of statement. When the execution is block of statement is done, then it will go back to the on top. First, it will execute the while condition and the block of statement. And then once it is done, then it will go back to the while condition. Everything is perfect, then it will go back to the, once everything is done, then it will finally, it will come out of the final step. It will come out of the final step. That means condition is now everything is perfect. Now it is all the conditions are executed. Once everything is done, it will come out. That means condition is false. If the condition is false, then it will come out of that block statement. So it is so whenever we are doing the while condition, the pre-check that is happening in the iterative statement is, which will verify the condition first. If the condition is satisfied, then it will execute the block of statement. And it will execute the statement iteratively till the specified condition gets satisfied. That means it will keep on go through the loop condition till it gets satisfied. Once the condition is satisfied, then it will go on into the loop. As soon as it says that the condition is failed, then immediately it will come out of the block automatically. Take a notes of it. Let me know once it is done. Okay. So let's go ahead. So in the while statement, so we have a syntax is while condition, and within that we have a block of statement. It will execute the block of statement, right? Now let's see the example. Now let's say here requirement is write an Apex program to print the welcome message 10 times on the debug log. So basically I have to print the welcome message 10 times, right? So let's connect the Salesforce. Now let's connect the debug log, developer console. Now, so what we wanted to implement, write a program to print welcome message. So now we have to print a welcome message 10 times. debug, open execute anonymous. Now let's go down. So iterative statement, in the iterative statement, the first one is a while loop. First one is while loop. While iterative statement. So while statement, now the requirement is I need to print welcome message 10 times. So in order to print the welcome message 10 times, first of all, when I wanted to print the welcome message, I need a system.debug. That is for sure, because I need to print a welcome message. Let's say here I have a system.debug. Now printing the welcome message, I can use the debug, system.debug. Let's say here, welcome to Swapna IT. Right? Swapna IT Institute, or welcome to the Swapna IT. This is the message which I wanted to print it 10 times. Now if I execute this one, it will print only one time. If I want this to be printed 10 times, then I need to enter 10 times system.debug log. Instead of that, what we can do is we can add this statement, whatever this block of statement is there, it has to go within the loop. Within the loop, it has to go. That means on top, I need some iterative statement where it is going to check the counter or the whatever the count is there, right? So the count I need to print it. That means I need to print this 10 times. That means somebody has to loop through this code 10 times, right? So if somebody has to loop through this code 10 times, that means I need a variable to store the count. I need a variable to store the count. So let's say integer count equal to 1, starting with 1. Now I'll say here while let's say count less than or equal to 10, less than or equal to 10. Now if I try to execute this, that means initially it will be 1. The cursor will execute, initially it is a 1. So 1 less than or equal to 10, which is a true. So it will print the system.debug welcome to, it will print the welcome to Swapna IT, right? First time it is going to print the welcome to Swapna IT. Now, once that is the first one. That is first one. That means here 1. Now it is going to print the 1 less than or equal to 10, which is qualified true. So it has written the welcome to Swapna IT. And again, it will be, somebody has to increase it, right? If it goes back again, then again counter is 1. Every time count is 1. Every time count is 1. And somebody has to increase it. Now, where should I need to increase it? Outside of this or inside of this? Now, if I write it outside of this curly braces, when the cursor will come here, if the condition is false, then only it will come out of this block and then it will execute the count equal to count plus 1. So I should not be writing the increment here. I should be writing the increment within the block statement so that after execution of this, here I can do the count equal to count plus 1. So that next time whenever it reach to less than or equal to 10, which is a qualified. So now it is going to print the second time. Now let's see here, while statement. Now I need a variable integer count equal to 1. Now I can say here while count less than or equal to 10. If it is less than or equal to 10, then I'm going to print system.debug. Let's say welcome to Swapna IT. Right, so this is what I wanted to print, and then I'm going to increase the count. So I'll increase it with the count plus 1. If I try to execute it, let's say here, execute the highlighted one, debug. So it has written the 10 times. What I'll do is, instead of understanding what is the count right now, let's say I'm going to print the count here, execute the highlighted one, debug. Now here 10 times it is written. So 1 to 10, 10 times it is written. Now any logic that you wanted to keep on execute. Now let's say here in this scenario, we can use this while condition. Now for example, anytime you see that there is a counter option or a milestone or a time, right? Or some date time you need to calculate it. So whenever the time or whenever the date is less than, opportunity stage is less than, or opportunity date, right? As soon as it is crossed the date or as soon as it is reaching the date, so there is a 5 minutes difference is there. As soon as it finds there is it is about to end the opportunity close date. In the opportunity we have a close date, right? So before reaching to the close date, right, that particular time, in case if we wanted to trigger some emails, before 1 minute, I wanted to trigger one email to the opportunity owner saying that just in a minute, we are going to close this opportunity. So in case if you wanted to have those kind of a logic to be implemented, then we will go with the while condition. Right, this is a just example of while condition. Now like this, for example, if you wanted to get the even numbers, right? So let's say the next requirement is write a Apex program to print the even numbers between 1 to 50. Now, if you want to print a 1 to 50 even numbers, how can you print it? First of all, how do you identify even numbers or odd numbers? So one thing I needed here, the requirement it says write a program to print the even numbers between the 1 to 50. That means I need to have a variable which starts with 1. Even number equal to 1. Right, it starts with 1. Now I need to check whether it is less than or equal to 50. That means between the 1 to 50, we wanted to execute some logic. While, now let's say here even number less than or equal to 50. Now within this, what are we going to write it? Let's say I'm going to print here system.debug even numbers. Even number, let's print it plus even number. Now, but how do you get the even number? If I execute this one, it will print 1 to 50. It will print 1 to 50. How do you get the even numbers?
I
By 2.
plus 2.
Plus 2
That will give odd numbers.
odd number.
Initialize the even number with a 2 and in loop we'll add 2.
So we have to initialization, either you need to do the 0 or you need to do the 2. So initialization has to be a even number. If you do the initialization of the even number is 2, then we can make the, here I can make it whatever the even number is there. Even number is there, even number plus 2. Now, for example, if user enter here instead of 2, if user enter 1, what will happen?
All odd numbers will
All
be
odd numbers will display.
odd numbers. So the output will be the either odd or a even numbers. So it's a based on the input provided. So based on input, either it will print odd number or even number. Let's copy this. Let's go to the developer console. Now here, let me execute this. Fine, so let me end this semicolon. Now let's execute this. If we try to execute this, execute the highlighted one. Which is even number. Now let's execute this. It has written because we have written the initial number is 1. Now all the odd numbers is written. Now if I say here even something like, for example, if I say here 24, if I say 24, now what will happen if we print all the even numbers? Write all the even numbers, it is going to print. This is the while condition. In the while, the condition first executed, then block of statement. Now, once the block of statement is done, then it will execute the final one. Execute the final one. Right, so first it has a condition, then it will execute the block of statement. Then based on the execution, what we can do is we can either increase it or whatever the logic that we wanted to write, we can write the logic inside this. Now, in case if you write this even number, now I'm going to remove from it here and I'm going to write it outside of the loop. Now, what will happen if I write outside of the loop? What will happen if I write outside of the loop? Let's go ahead and execute. Now, even number, it says does not exist. Does not exist. Let's execute it. What is happening? It is keep on going into the loop. Keep on going into the loop. Now see, it is keep on executing. Right. Because we have every time the condition is 1. Every time the condition is 1. Then if we do like that, so sometimes we see here CPU time limit exceed. So this is one of the interview questions. Now, in the real time also, it will happen this kind of issues. system.limit exception apex CPU time limit exceed. That means it has taken the so much of time to execute it, right? So much of CPU time to execute it. That means there is a either it is going into the infinite loop, or it is taking a lot of time, or the space has taken a lot of space has taken, or the time limit, there is some time limit is there. So the time limit is it has taken so much of time limit. So that means there is a CPU time limit exceeds. So every execution there is a limit. Every execution of the logic there is a limit. Now if we cross that executing that limit, then definitely we will receive the apex CPU time limit. That means either it is going into the infinite loop or taking a lot of time to execute it. Right, every time it is coming printing the input, the even or odd number is every time it is a 24. So it is created the 18.35 MB, 18.35 MB, and in all the time it is just printed the 24. All the time it just printed the 24, and here is the limit exception apex CPU timeout. Now what is the CPU timeout? What is the maximum is? Maximum is 10,000 is the maximum CPU time. 10,000 is the maximum CPU time. Now it has taken more than that, like a 15,125 out of 10,000. So Salesforce is giving the 10,000, but it has taken the more, and then it reached to the around 15,000, then it is closed it. That means it is crossed the limit of the CPU time. So CPU time limit is 10,000. Right, so that's a issue. We will see it in the real time also. Whenever you are writing the logic and there is no end for it, then definitely you will see the CPU timeout limit. Now, in the real time, when should we use the while? When should we use the while? Now, while loop. Now, use the while loop when you don't know exact number of iterations specified. You don't know what is the exact iteration, because that is auto-calculated at the backend. That is auto-calculated at the backend. When you don't know the exact number of the iteration required, but you have a condition that must be met. So there is a condition, it has to be met, but you don't know what is the number of execution, number of iterations it is going to happen. That is all depending on the automation logic and the user input. So in that case, but you have a condition that must be met. The condition has to be met within that certain execution of the logic. So for example, let's say that, for example, if you need a loop through a list of records until a specific record is found. Until a specific record is found. For example, we are receiving the from the third party, we are receiving the some JSON or some data we are receiving it. Some data we are receiving it. When we receive the data, there is some data which is not used and some data which is also used. Now, a lot of information we receive it from the third party because the content or the structure, right? So, for example, here from the third party, I have received some kind of a information. It has a huge data. It has huge data. In this huge data, there is a lot of information is available into the small blocks. The lot of information is available. Like this is one block, this is another block, this is another block. Like this, so much of information is available. But out of this, I'm only looking for a specific record. possible that I'm looking only for this specific record. Now, until unless we meet that specific record, until unless we found that specific record, what we will do is we will keep on loop through that execution. We will keep on looping through the while loop would be the most efficient choice in that case. So we will be keep on looping through that condition until unless it meet the specific criteria or specific record as till we find that inside the collection, right? In that case, we will use the while loop. While loop is I can say that it is a efficient choice in case if you wanted to find out the specific record from the collection of records based on the condition, right? So this is what we will use a while loop. Take a notes of it. Let me know once it is done. Assignment. Write a Apex program to print odd numbers between the 1 to 100. Odd numbers between the 1 to 100. Also write a Apex program to print numbers between the 1 to 100. All the numbers between the 1 to 100. And write an Apex program to print the numbers between the 1 to 50 in the reverse order. That means you need to first print the 50. You need to print the 50 and then 49 in the reverse order you have to print it. In the reverse order you have to print it till the 1. Write a Apex program to print the even numbers between the 1 to 100 in reverse order. The next one is write an Apex program to check whether the given number is even number or not. Even number or not. Now, for example, they have given some number. They have given some number. Now, whatever the number is provided there, right? That is the input number which is provided by the user. Now, whatever the number they have provided, percentage 2. We have to divide it with the percentage 2 and find out if it is equal to 0, then it is an even number. If it is equal to 1, then that is an odd number. Now, in that case, what we will do is, whatever, for example, I am giving the number here 1022 divided by 2. If it is equal to 0, then you need to print the even number. If it is a odd, then you are going to print it. Now, how do you calculate this in the Apex? Which logic do you use it? How do you do that in the Apex? If condition, okay. Using the variable, okay. Have you heard any time modulus operator? Modulus operation. Anyone have you heard about modulus operation?
Yes.
Okay. So basically this is, if you have this kind of a division, or if you wanted to find out what is the mod of the even number or a odd number, if you wanted to find out, so what we will do is we have some class available inside this Apex in order to do that logic. So that logic is math.mod. Math.mod. Math is the class. Inside that we have a mod is the method. You might have seen in the school days also modulus operation. So this is math is the class. Inside this class we have a method which is called as a mod. In this mod, you need to provide whatever the input is there, provide the input and what is the division you are doing it. So by 2 equal to 0. Now this condition you have to put it into the if condition. If it is equal to 0, then print here even number. Else print the odd number. Else print the odd number. Take a notes of it, assignment. Right, it's a division operation. Sometimes we call it as a modulus operation. It's a whenever you wanted to do the division or if you wanted to get the output. So this is like it's not actually division. So whether you wanted to see the output, whether it is a 0 or 1, right? If you give a 1024 by 2, if it is a 0, right? It's basically a reminder. The output it will give you the remainder. So whatever the remainder is there, based on that you wanted to perform the logic. Done with taking the notes of it. Let's go for it. Now the next one is another assignment. Write a Apex program to print mathematical table for the given number available. So you need to write a table, mathematical table for the given number. So whatever the user is giving that, so for that number, you need to implement a mathematical table. So for example, user has given here 10, right? So for each 10, right? So for 10 is the input that user has given here. Now every time for 10, what we need to do? We need to add a star and then the first it has to increment. So this is the star. As it is star, then the second number is here too. Now then star, 3 number, third number, and the star and the fourth number. Right, like this till the end of the 10. So then you need to find out equal to how much. So 10, right, equal to 20. So whatever the multiplication is there, multiplication output, you have to print it like this. 30 equal to 40. And then finally equal to whatever the 100. So like this, you have to print the table. Take the notes of it, assignment. Now let's move on to the questions. What is iterative statement? What is iterative statement?
Statements
It
can
will,
be
it will
repeatedly
execute the
executed.
statements repeatedly.
Repeated execution of statements.
Right. So iterative statements are basically when we wanted to execute the block of statement continuously till the required number of the times based on the whatever the condition is there. So based on that, if I wanted to execute the condition multiple times, then we will go for the iterative statement. Now, what are different type of iterative statements?
While
While,
for
while,
to
for enhanced for loop.
So we have a 4 type of iterative statements. One is a while, do while, for loop, and enhanced for loop. Now we have completed the while statement. Right, so we have completed the while statement. Now we will go for the do while. Now, what is the syntax for the while statement?
while condition within the curly brace statement.
Others? What is the syntax for the while?
While conditions, if the a condition is true, statements will be displayed. The loop will be iterated until the condition is satisfied.
Right, so syntax is while condition, if the condition is true, then it will execute the block of statement. Now, next one is a do while. Do while. Now, as it says here, first do the work and then check the condition. First do the work, then check the condition. So that means syntax will be, first it starts with the do and then execute the block of statement. Once it is execute the block of statement, then we'll have a condition check. Whereas in while it was a condition check first, then it will execute the block of statement. Now in the do while, so in do while it says that first do the work and then check the condition. That means the execution will be, it will first execute the statement. First block of statement will be executed, then it will check whether the condition is true or not. Whether the condition is true or not. If the condition is true, then it will execute the statement again. If it is a false, then it will come out. That means At first place only, if the condition is false, still the statement will be get executed at least one time. So in this case, what we are doing is, we are doing the condition check. We are doing the condition check after completing the do statement. After completing the do statement. So it is a post-checking iterative statement, which will execute the statement at least once. Even if the condition is not right also, even at least once it will execute the statement. So that means the block of statement it will execute at least one time if we go for a do while statement. Now it will continuously execute the statement till the condition gets satisfied. Once the condition gets failed, then it will come out of that block. That means execution, how it will execute it. Execution will be, first it will execute the do, then it will go to the this statement, and within that it will execute whatever the block of statements are there. It will execute the block of statement, then it will close this loop, and then we are checking the condition. If the condition is true, then it will go back to the this inside this block. In case if the condition is false, then it will come out of this. Right? So in any scenario, at least do while is, at least it is going to execute one time. Take a notes of it. Done. Okay. Let's see the assignment. Requirement. Write a program to print the odd numbers between 1 to 50 in the reverse order. I wanted to print the 1 to 50 numbers, odd numbers, in the reverse. That means first I need to print the 50, 49, and then till 1 it has to print it in the reverse order. Now let's go ahead and see. Let's say here this is the do while. Do while. Now this is the reverse order. Reverse order 1 to 50. Now that means I need to start my variable from the 50 onwards. I need to start my variable from the 50 onwards. So reverse order odd numbers. Basically, we need to print the odd numbers. That means in the reverse order, I need to provide the integer count equal to, let's say 49. I'll give 49. Now if I give a 49, will I get an odd number or even number?
Odd number.
Right. So here I'm starting with the do condition, execute the do statement, system.debug, then we are going to print odd numbers is, and I'm going to print the count. And then what we will be doing is count equal to count.
-2.
Then at the end, we have a while statement. After this, we have a while statement while count is greater than or equal to 1. If while condition is greater than equal to 1, till that point, print this. Till that point, print it. Now let me execute this. Execute the highlighted one. End of this 242, there is something is missing. Now I need to put this semicolon.
Semicolon.
Execute the highlighted one. Now it is going to print the reverse order from 49 to the till 1, it is printing the odd numbers. Right, it will execute the statement first and then it will check whether the condition is true or not. Condition is true or not. That means in the real time. In the real time, when do we use the do while? We use the do while loop when the developer need to execute a block of statement at least one time, whether it is true or false, whether the condition is meeting or not, at least one time, the condition the block of statement has to be executed. Then in that case, we will use the do while. In this case, then we will use the do while and then continue the loop based on the condition. In case if the condition is met, then it is going to print more than one time. In case if the condition is false, then it will print only at one time. So when we have a condition, when the developer has a logic, now here developer is dealing with the loops, right? What is the output do I need it? Do I need to check if the condition is true, then only the print, or else every time whether the condition is met or not. But I wanted to print it at least one time, or I wanted to execute the specific logic at least one time. At least one times I wanted to execute the logic. In that case, what we will do is we will use the do while. Take a notes of it. Done. Okay. So do while statement assignment. So write a program to check whether a given number is a prime number or not. Given number is prime number or not. So for example, if I have given the 2 or a 3, these are the prime numbers 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, 29. These are the prime numbers. So whatever the user is giving the input, now you need to provide whether that is a prime number or not. Whether that is a prime number or not. And the second one is write a program to print the number of numbers from 50 to 1 using the do while statement. Done. Now let's move on. Questions. Now, what is syntax for do while? What is the syntax for do while?
Do set of statements while the condition will be checked.
Okay. We will first execute the statement. We will first execute the statement within the do, then we will check the condition. Right. Now, what is the differences between the while and do while?
While the
While we'll
condition
check at first statement printing. In do well, at least once it will execute the statements first and then check the condition.
Right. So in the while, it is going to check the condition first, then execute it. If the condition is satisfied, then only the block of statement will be executed. Whereas a do while, first it will execute the block of statement, then it will check the condition. Now let's move on to the for loop. In the for loop, right? So for loop is basically where it is keep on going into the, like whenever you wanted to check the condition. Let's see the syntax first. So in the for loop, for example, you have to start with a for, and then in the for there are three parts are available. First part is a initialize the part. Initialize part. There are three parts are there within the for. First one is the initialize part, and then conditions part, and then increment of the part. That means you need to initialize it. What is the variable that you wanted here? Right? Like an integer I equal to 0. Integer I equal to 0. This is the initialization. Whatever we used to do, like here, before executing the while condition, we used to initialize here even number, right? Instead of doing separately the initialization, what you can do is you can directly do it inside the for loop. That is the first part. Then second part is what is the condition? Condition is if it is a 10, that means as soon as it reaches to the 9, then the condition should be false. The condition is I less than 10 or count is greater than or equal to 10 or less than or equal to 10. The condition you are checking it. Then after that we have an increment or a decrement part of it. So either I plus plus or I minus minus. So which is a 2 times you have to write it plus plus or minus minus, which is an increment. Whether you wanted to do it an increment, right? So odd number, even number, what are the reverse order, which are the one you wanted to verify. Now you need to specify. So in the for we have a 3 parts are available: initialization, condition part, and the increment. Now within this loop, we have a while statement. Within that row, we have the statement. What are the block of statements are there? All the statements are available. That means the cursor, how the cursor will execute. The cursor will reach to the for, and it will check what is the initialization part and what is the condition. Then after that it will go inside it and it will execute the statement. Once it is executed the statement, then it will go back to the incrementing part of it. That means first is it will check the initialization part, second is the condition check, and the third one is the statement it will execute it. Once a statement is done, then the fourth part is it will increment the number. Once it is incremented, then it will go back to the, again, the condition check. It will not go back to the initialization part. It will go back to the condition check. Initialization part, it will execute only first. First time it will execute the initialization part. Now here, the 2 to 5, it's in the loop. So condition check, execute the statement, and then increment it, again the condition check. Again the condition check. That is in the loop. Now it is a pre-checking iterative statement. That means we are checking the condition first. which provides an optimized way of using the iterative statement in the programming, inside the programming. Now, if it is if you are working in a project, right? And most of the times you see that most of the for loops are used in the coding part of it. So wherever you see the Apex program, very rare scenario people will be using the do, while and while condition. But most of the people, like out of 100%, 75% developers use the for loop. Somewhere there 20% they will use while and do well. Right? It's based on the developer choice, which one they have to use it. No, take a notes of it. Now let's go for it. Let's see the requirement. Write Apex program to print mathematical table for the given number. So for the for loop, we have to write a mathematical table. So mathematical table is, you can take whatever the user is giving, any number. Could be a 5 or could be a 1, whatever it is giving, whatever the number that they are giving it, the input number. You have to take the input number, whatever the user is giving that input number. And then star is a common, right? Star should be there. Then after that we need to take some number which is going to increment it. That means I need to increment the number here. So let's take a here count is the number. Count is the number equal to, now here I need to multiply whatever the input number is there. Whatever the input number, multiply by count. Now whatever the output is there, I need to print it. Right? So this is the final output. Now here input number could be anything. Star is the one common, and then I need to use the count equal to whatever the input number is there, then count. That means here I needed two variables. Two variables. One is the input number and the second one is count. Second one is count. Now input number doesn't change. Input number doesn't change. Only the count will be every time it is getting incremented. So my third part is the increment. In the for loop, we have a 3 parts: initialization, condition part, and the increment part of it. In the for loop, we have a 3 parts of it: initialization, condition, and then increment part of it. Increment part of it. Now here initialization is, I needed two initialization. One is input number and then other one is a count. Other one is count. Now condition check, what should be the condition check? It should not be on the input number because there is no change on the input number. It is always input number is, if they have given 5, it should be always 5. If it is a 10, then it should be always 10. Now count is the condition check. That means it should go count up to the 10. So here condition check is count. Condition check is count. Right? So here it says that count is either equal to or less than. So that means less than or equal to 10. That is the condition check. Increment, who will be doing the increment, input number or count? So here increment will be happening on the count. That means I need to have a count plus plus. Count plus plus. Right, so that is I'll be declaring inside the for loop. Now let's say here, let's go to the debug log, debug anonymous window. Now here I'm going to execute the for loop. Now inside this for loop, let's say here for integer, I'm going to specify count equal to, I need a count declaration. So count I'll be declaring the 1. Also I'll be declaring the input number. Input number, let's say equal to around 26. 26 is the input number. Now the increment should happen on the count. Count plus plus. Now before that another part which we have is condition check count less than or equal to 10. Less than or equal to 10. So this is the initialization part and this is the condition check and then I have an increment part of it. Now this is the standard parameter. You cannot say here increment parameter here and then condition parameter is this side. No, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. So always increment part has to be at the third place. Now inside this we will be opening up the condition loop. Now here system.debug. System.debug. Now what we need, the input number. Whatever the input number is there, plus I'll specify here star and then plus I need to have a count plus we need a equal to symbol and finally I need here input number multiply count. Now that's it. Now let's execute this. Execute the highlighted one. Debug. Now it has printed the whatever the 26 table is there, it is printing the 26 table. Right? So we have just written in the, so plus is nothing but a concatenation here. Plus is concatenation. I'm concatenating the input number. So input number is 26. Input number is 26, which does not change. Concatenate with the star. Right, count and concatenate with count, which is a 1. Concatenate with equal to. So equal to that is a hard coded one. Then we have a multiplication of whatever is there. system will automatically understand whether, because in the Salesforce we have a addition is also there. Addition is also there. But system will smart enough to, Apex is smart enough to understand it. When you have an integer number, right? And if you have a before this plus button, before this integer number, and here also you have an integer number. Both the sides, if you have an integer number without any special characters or anything, then it system automatically take care of this addition. But whenever you say that the integer number here, and then you are adding some text here, then what it does is it will concatenate. It will concatenate, it will not do the addition. Any questions? No. Let's move on. So what is the syntax for loop?
For initialization, condition, and increment or decrement. Within the braces, set of statements.
Right, so we have a for loop inside that initialization part, condition part, increment, decrement part of it, and then we have a execution of the statement, block of statement within the loop. Now, for loop in the real time, for loop, now for loop, developer use the for loop when developers is aware exact number of iterations that are required. When developer is aware exact number of iterations are required, then they will go for a for loop. For example, if the developer loop through the list of the 10 records, right? In that case, what they will do is, now in case if they wanted to loop through these 10 records, they will, the best one is going through the for loop. Now I'm retrieving the 10 records from the Salesforce database. Now we know that I know the count is 10. Now the developer wants to loop through that 10 records. In that case, what we will do is they will go for a for loop. They will go for loop. Now, next one is a array. Now, so far what is happening here, I have taken the one variable. Now, let's assume that is an integer variable. So, I have taken the integer variable. Let's say name is some student ID. Now, this is the integer declaration. As soon as I have initialized this, what is happening at the back end? There is a space is allocated for this. There is a space is allocated. Now, as soon as I declare it here, student ID equal to, let's say that SIT001. What will happen? We are assigning the value here. We are assigning the value to the variable. When we assign the value to the variable at the back end, it will store the whatever the number is there. The number is SIT001. Right? It will store it into the a space which is allocated for the student ID. Now again, I'm updating the value here, student, and again declaring it here. So student ID equal to, let's say, SIT002. Now when I initialize again one more value to this, what will happen? It will overwrite the existing one. That means before here, 001 is there. Now it will change Now it will change from the 001 to the 002. That means whatever the previous value is there, that value gets overwritten on top of this 002. 001, it will overwritten. That means it will delete the existing value and add the new value there. It will add the new value there. No, we do not want to do that kind of a logic. Assume that we wanted to store the previous value. That means I wanted to store the previous value. We wanted to store the previous value. We wanted to store the previous value as well as the new value also I wanted to store. Hold the previous one and the new one also hold it. Do not override this one here, right? Do not override the on top of this. Instead of overwriting this, keep the old one and take the new one also. Whenever we wanted to have this is basically if I wanted to store more than one number details inside this space, then it is called as a collection or a list, right? So, and in other terminology, it's called as a array. So array is nothing but which will hold the multiple values, Now that means array is nothing but a collection of data which is stored inside a space. For example, now I can also specify how much value which I'm going to provide it because the space is allocated. But how much space do I need to allocate it? I need to allocate it one space or two space, like how much? Because every space it is going to calculate it as a 4 bytes. Every data that is stored, it will be calculated as a 4 bytes. Now, in case if I wanted to store 40 bytes of it, then I need to tell the system, the storage, allocate the 40 bytes or allocate the 60 bytes or allocate the 10 bytes. I need to specify to the storage so that they will allocate that much space to the student ID. Otherwise, by default, it will take it. Possible that they might take it only this one. Now here in this space, whatever the space is allocated, now I cannot keep on increasing this, right? So maximum at one point I can increase it, but if I keep on increasing, what will happen? The space will be keep on increasing like this. Now instead of doing that, what we can do is while declaring the array itself, we can specify what is the bytes of space that we need. What is the bytes of space which I need? For example, if I say that I'm storing that 10 numbers. I wanted to store the 10 numbers like 1 to 10. I wanted to store it into the student ID. Now that means it has to divide the student ID into the 10 pieces. Student ID into the 10 pieces. Now once it is stored into the 10 pieces, then later I can assign the value here. When I assign the value, for each one of them, it will take it as a 4 bytes. Each one, it will take it as a 4 bytes. Right? So whenever the data is stored in the array, the data will be start storing it from the 0th index. The first one is always called as a 0th index, first index, second index, third index, up to we have a 9 index, which is a total 10 data because the Salesforce the developer wants to store the size of the array is 10. They have specified it. So when they specify the size of 10, then it is divided into the 40. The space is allocated 40 bytes. It is allocated because 10 the student ID 10 student ID information they wanted to store it. That means it is a 40 bytes of space. It is allocated at the back. So each one will take it as a 4 bytes. Now this is how the data is stored. Now in case if I wanted to store the data this way using the iterative. Now how can we do it? We have an array. Inside the array, let's see the syntax first. So arrays is basically it stores the collection of information. That means I need to have a data type. I need to declare the data type. What type of a data it is storing it. Now, am I storing the numbers here? Am I storing the numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4? What are the numbers are there? Am I storing the numbers, or am I storing the alpha numeric values, or am I storing the list of the values or a text, right? So array will be containing single data type. I cannot store here one. I cannot store here text data type. I cannot store here pick list values. Like that, each by each, whatever the each index is there, I cannot store the each index different data type, which is not possible. Entire whatever the space is allocated for this array, now that entire space, what is the data type? Every index should have a common data type inside that array. So that's the reason we need the data type. So data type, and then we have a array. This is a which is called as a dimensions, or you can say here list, because we have seen in the list collection data type also we use this. And then the array name, whatever the array name, then equal to new data type size. That means here the data type is a type of value. What type of value you are storing it? Are you storing the integer type of value? Are you storing the number or text value, or whatever the type of value is there that is going to specify here? Integer, double, decimal, date, right, time, whatever the data type is there, everything it will take it here. And the next one, which is called as a dimensions, and which is kind of a list or an array, you can say array or a list. And next, this is the array name, the variable name. And new is nothing but we are allocating the memory for this particular array. And then the data type name, the type of value, then we are going to specify the number of elements. How many elements do you want to store it into the array? Take a notes of it. Now, let's see that array is basically it is used to collect the homogeneous element. That means each index will store the common data type. Whatever the value that we are storing it, it is a same data type. I cannot store here text data type, date time data type, Boolean data type. I cannot store multiple values. It has a common element. Common element array can store the collection of similar data. Collection of similar data type. Whatever the data type that we are specifying, if it is an integer, the entire array will be stored the similar data type elements. That is an array. And we cannot store the different data type elements inside the array. Now, whenever we are creating the array, we have to specify the size, how much data that we are going to store it, which describes the number of elements can be held inside the array. Now, once we declare this size, we cannot increase or decrease the size of that. Now, initially I said here 10. Initially I said here 10. Now that means it is allocated the 40 bytes. Now later if I wanted to decrease it, I cannot decrease it. If I wanted to increase, I cannot decrease it. I cannot increase it, decrease it. Now for example, okay, 10 I have given it, but the values only I have given up to 4. What will happen to the rest of the indexes? Rest of the indexes, the space will be there, but the data will be null. It will store the null value there. So that means, now here let's say integer array. This is the custom code. Is the custom code is the variable name. equal to new integer of 200. That means I wanted to allocate the 200 size for the integer data types. Now, once I declared these custom codes, now in order to assign the values, what we can do is custom codes of 0, because it always starts with 0 as index, equal to some value, integer value. Similarly, custom codes of 1 equal to some value. Custom codes of 2 equal to some value. So we are declaring we have to declare it up to 200. In case if you do not declare it up to 200, only 0 as index, first index, second index, you have declared the value. What will happen to the rest of the indexes? Simply it will store the null value. Rest of the indexes, the data will be null. So in that case, what will happen? Whenever the developer is declared with a huge size and the data is not provided, then we are wasting the memory space. That means by indirectly, developer is wasting the memory space wastage. Wastage is happening. So instead of doing the 200 declaration, whatever we know that exactly how much data that we are going to provide it to the array, if we know that, just specify the same size. Do not specify the additional size. Because unnecessarily we are allocating the space, but there is no data is stored into that, which is a waste of memory. So each element inside the array will be identified by using the array name along with the index position starting from 0. Index position starting from 0. Now, for example, if I wanted to retrieve this data, how will I retrieve it? I need to use the array name. And then get this index. Array name of the index. Then I can get the value of that particular one. Now we will see the array part of it tomorrow. Right, so that's all for today. Trial heads, I'll provide you the trial head links. Scenario we will see tomorrow, array scenario.